So, in today's video, we got to do an update on the attempted assassination attempt of President Trump that occurred last night at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, ladies and gentlemen. But thanks to the people tasked with protecting the president, they did their job and prevented what could have been a tragedy from happening. And so now let's get into this video, what's happened so far, and how you now even have those on the left who are saying that this was all staged, ladies and gentlemen, according to them. But first, let's start with the president speaking and answering questions following the incident. Take a look.
Thank you, President Trump. There's a report in the New York Post that this assailant assembled his weapon somewhere on site at the hotel. What do you think about that? And I ask respectfully, why do you think this keeps happening to you?
Well, you know, I've studied assassinations, and I must tell you, the most impactful people, the people that do the most, you take a look at the people, Abraham Lincoln, I mean, you go through the people that have gone through this, where they got them. But the people that do the most, the people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after. They don't go after the ones that don't do much because they like it that way. And when you look at the people that have either, whether it was an attempt or a successful attempt, they're very impactful people. Just take a look at the names there, the big names. And I hate to say I'm honored by that, but I've done a lot. We've done a lot. We've taken this country, and we were a laughing stock for years, and now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We've changed this country. And there are a lot of people that are not happy about that. So I think that's the answer, Peter.
Yeah, so you heard that. Much respect to the president, because here you got a guys, for as much as the media does all of their mental gymnastics to paint the president in such a negative light, need we be reminded that here you had a guy who could have just rode off into the sunset, enjoyed his latter years in life, enjoyed his wealth with his kids, with his grandkids, and continued doing business and whatever he wanted to do in his own life. But he chose to get into politics. Obviously, with getting into politics, everything that has come along with it, including the attempts on his life. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and continue and get into this.
What a night it was. And it's the president himself has been quite outspoken of the events of the last 12 hours or so, sharing not only what happened behind the scenes with him and his security detail, but what we're also learning about the suspected gunman in this case, who, as you know, ran past the security checkpoint. This morning, the acting attorney general says they believe the suspect acted alone, but that they are still trying to piece together the exact motive of what brought this person to the Washington Hilton, but that they believe it was the president as well as top administration officials who were the target of this attack. They believe the man was armed with knives, a shotgun, a handgun. He was a registered guest of the Hilton, also believed to have traveled to D.C. via Chicago via train. Investigators are still hoping to give more details about what they've learned about him. My colleague David Spunt reporting that he is not cooperating with law enforcement right now, but he'll be making his first court appearance on Monday. The incident once again raising questions about the president's security, how events are handled when it comes to America's top politicians and leaders. The Secret Service going to great lengths to defend its procedures today, insisting the system works, as the gunman never reached the president.
Yeah, and so Cole Allen, the gunman, was a teacher from California, donated to Kamala Harris, a member of Wide Awakes, attended a No Kings protest, rabid leftist post on Blue Sky, and wrote an anti-Trump manifesto. But yet you'll still have those on the left who swear up and down that this was all staged.
White House officials tell our CBS News' Jennifer Jacobs that authorities have found anti-Trump and anti-Christian rhetoric on the suspect's social media accounts. We're also told by law enforcement sources both of his firearms were purchased legally in California. As for the defendant, Margaret, he'll appear in federal court tomorrow.
We have a problem not of political violence. We have a problem of left-wing political violence. The vast majority of political violence in this country comes from the left. And I just want to read you one poll from YouGov that came out very recently, September of 2025. And it found that 25% of Americans who call themselves very liberal support political violence. And that's compared to less than 3% of Americans who call themselves very conservative. Look up this YouGov poll. The more liberal a person is in America, the more likely they are to defend and support political violence.
Yeah, and so let's take a look at that poll that she was mentioning, YouGov poll. Is it ever justified for citizens to resort to violence in order to achieve political goals? Among very liberal, 25%. Among liberals, 17%. Among moderates, 9%. Among conservatives, 6%. Among very conservative, 3%, ladies and gentlemen. Most Americans across the political spectrum say political violence is never justified, but younger and more liberal Americans are more likely to disagree. Let's continue.
And if you read the manifesto of the alleged gunman, which I urge every person to do, it does not sound like the ravings of a crazy person. It sounds like every Democratic politician when they go on cable news and talk about Donald Trump. He called him a rapist and a pedophile and a traitor, which is exactly what you hear from the upper echelons of the Democratic Party. There is a problem with the left. They support political violence, and we have to do something about this. They have to take responsibility for it. And every time they say that both sides have this problem, they are blaming the victim.
Yeah, I agree. It's an easy excuse and an easy way out to say, well, we both need to relax and calm down on both sides of the aisle. Well, no. Right now, the way things are, predominantly where we're seeing most of this hatred, this violence is not equal. It's not coming out to be 50-50. No, not by a long shot. It's coming from one side more than another. The inability to even admit that, yes, that means you're blaming the victim. That means that the left, as we should expect, they're not willing to take accountability for their words, for their actions. But let's go ahead and real quick and check out that manifesto so you can really hear what he was thinking. And so it says, hello, everybody. So I may have given a lot of people a surprise today. Let me start off by apologizing to everyone whose trust I abused. I apologize to my parents for saying I had an interview without specifying it was for Most Wanted. I apologize to my colleagues and students for saying I had a personal emergency. By the time anyone reads this, I probably most certainly do need to go to the ER, but can hardly call that not a self-inflicted status. I apologize to all of the people I traveled next to, all of the workers who handle my luggage, and all of the other non-targeted people at the hotel who I put in danger simply by being near. I apologize to everyone who was abused and or murdered before this, to all those who suffered before I was able to attempt this, to all of whom may still suffer after, regardless of my success or failure. I don't expect forgiveness, but if I could have seen any other way to get this close, I would have taken it. Again, my sincere apologies. On to why I did any of this. I am a citizen of the United States of America. What my representatives do reflects on me, and I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. Well, to be completely honest, I was no longer willing to a long time ago, but this is the first opportunity I've had to do something about it. While I'm discussing this, I'll also go over my expected rules of engagement, probably in a terrible format, but I'm not military, so too bad. Administration officials, not including Mr. Patel. They are targets, prioritized from highest ranking to lowest. Secret Service. They are targets only if necessary and to be incapacitated non-lethally if possible. AKA, I hope they're wearing body armor because center mass with shotguns messes up people who aren't. Hotel security, not targets if at all possible, AKA unless they shoot at me. Capitol Police, same as hotel security. National Guard, same as hotel security. Hotel employees, not targets at all. Guests, not targets at all. In order to minimize casualties, I will also be using buckshots rather than slugs, less penetration through walls. I will still go through most everyone here to get to the targets if it were absolutely necessary, on the basis that most people choose to attend a speech by a pedophile, rapist, and traitor and are thus complicit. But I really hope it doesn't come to that. Yeah, so you just heard that. And so while he may not sound like your run-of-the-mill Hollywood wacko that, you know, they try to put on the big screen whenever they want to try to create these type of characters, he does sound like a liberal wacko who's plugged into all of the liberal legacy media, MS Now, CNN, getting all of his talking points and information from these sources that are pretty much brainwashing him to believe that this is who the president is. Therefore, he's justified in doing what he feels is necessary. And so let's get into this next clip, because you have people like Timu Obama, discount rack Obama. They spent this entire time President Trump has been in office spewing negative rhetoric that people like Cole Allen take and they run with it. But then soon as things start to go off the tracks, you also then have those same people like a Hakeem Jeffries. They want to talk out both sides of their ass, quite frankly. And now they want to say, well, we can't have any violence like this. We got to protect our constitutional rights. Missing me with all of that, Timu Obama. But here he is trying to clean things up now. Take a listen.
Violence is never the answer, whether it's targeted at the right, the left, or the center. We have issues that we have to work out amongst each other. That's embedded in the First Amendment that was being celebrated last night. But what is also embedded in the First Amendment is the right to peacefully protest and to petition the government peacefully.
Now, listen, you're going to stick up for your team. That's always a thing. You're going to ride with the people who you sticking with. That's true in sports. That's true with friendships. That's true with politics, tribalism, that whole thing. They on your team, you're going to stick up for the people on your team. But it gets to a point where you got the people who are claiming that, we need to calm the temperature, the rhetoric is too loud. They're the same ones who are actually saying the things that's turning the rhetoric up loud. So, wow, color me shocked when you have people on the outside like a Cole Allen listening, and then they want to take things into their own hand because they're constantly hearing people like a Hakeem Jeffries not say what he said in that previous clip about, we need to remain nonviolent, but they hear this more so. Check this out.
We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time. The threat right now in this country to the American people are extreme MAGA Republicans. That's the threat. That's the problem. That's the crisis that we confront. Extreme MAGA Republicans. Republican policies are doing violence to the American people.
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said, "No one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core." Let that sink in, and don't be a damn bit afraid of saying it, because that's exactly who he is.
Yeah, so color me shocked when you have that type of language being constantly pushed through the mainstream media, mind you. They're also doing their part with this rhetoric. And so, surprise, surprise, when you have people who decide, well, I'm going to do something about it. I've got to stand up and I've got to do something about this situation because nothing's getting done. And the politicians, they're not doing anything. And so I got to take it into my own hand. And so, yeah, conservatives, they are under attack. And Scott Jennings, he has more to say on that. Check it out.
This guy's obviously another of these left-wing lunatics who's come to kill the president. 3 assassination attempts on the president now. Charlie is dead. You have people on the left lionizing Luigi Mangione.
Well, there's a bar in Wisconsin.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
You have polling showing a tolerance for political violence on the left. And I heard Hakeem Jeffries say this week, it's maximum warfare all the time.
We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the
We
time.
have a violent streak on the left and a rhetoric problem on the left, and it must be acknowledged today.
When I was at the Department of Justice, what we found is after the 2020 election, there was a significant rise of threats to all elected leaders, state legislators, some who were killed, to our president, Joe Biden at the time, Barack Obama. Someone tried to go into his residence. This is a problem.
Who's the president?
Hold on.
How many assassination attempts?
There are several
3.
assassination attempts
3.
to other presidents that were not successful. I agree. It should be investigated about why they continue. What are the failures of the Secret Service?
And the Democratic just quickly, the Speaker of the House in Minnesota, a Democrat, lost her life to political violence this past summer. This is not solely a problem on the left. It is a problem across the board. It is a rising crisis.
Don't downplay it this
It is
way.
rising crisis in this country.
Stop generalizing the left.
Appalling.
And stop generalizing the left as the entire left.
Candidates campaigning with Hassan
Listen to me. Stop generalizing the left as the left is the entire problem. I'm not mad at you,
We have a left
Scott. I want you to be truthful.
Yeah, so you just heard that, and so you have those on the left who they don't even want to admit that the language that they're using perhaps is a bit too much, perhaps is a bit too violent, is going too far, they're doing too much. I mean, check the scoreboard. Not saying it's all one-sided, I'm not saying that at all, but when you check and you look up, one side is clearly being a bit more violent than the other, and it's not close right now, in my personal opinion. But I mean, hey, that probably is also why now, because they don't even want to acknowledge that much, you also have this element of, well, this whole thing was staged.
Well, Trump just used this active shooting to plug his ballroom. So we found the motive for him staging this performance at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. We found the motive. Of course, he would slip in, well, actually, if we were at the White House ballroom, the security would have been in tip-top shape, and no one would have been able to get in with a weapon. Which is actually mostly basic protocol for a security guard, you would think. So the fact that they didn't have even a bouncer, it feels like, there. This is so staged. It's so staged. And here's the fucking motive. He's gonna do anything to get that bunker.
Looked at all of the conditions that took place tonight, and I will say, it's not a particularly secure building. And I didn't want to say this, but this is why we have to have all of the attributes of what we're planning at the White House. It's actually a larger room, and it's a much more secure.
We about to fact check this First, if you mess with me, make sure you hit that follow button. And this month is SA and Autism Awareness Month. Let's get it. What the hell is Donald Trump talking about? First, if the hotel was not secure, that means that the security detail sucks. And I do believe that this assassination attempt was staged, and here's why. On April 16th, the US judge blocked Donald Trump's $400 million ballroom from being built. In fact, Fox News reported that the judge blocked it unless it was deemed strictly necessary for national security purposes. And then 10 days later, there was an assassination attempt on the president during the correspondent dinner. And if we actually analyze the security details, I mean, Charlie Kirk's funeral had better security details than this. Al Jazeera reported that the White House correspondent dinner had airport security level, while Charlie Kirk's funeral had level 1 security measures. It was also reported that the attacker was allegedly a hotel guest, and he was able to breach the outermost security checkpoint, which is located near the hotel lobby, and it's been reported that hotel guests still have access to the hotel lobby during this event. Also talking about a president who had 2 previous assassination attacks. He has even came out and said that Iran is trying to take his life. This assassination attempt doesn't prove that we need a $400 million ballroom in the White House. It proves that the president's security details sucks.
And so this is where I'll leave it at. And so when something like this happens, something serious, something that could have obviously gone tragically wrong, gone very wrong, the response should be simple. Get the facts, hold people accountable, and let the truth play out. Not a hard concept, in my opinion, but instead what we see from people on the left is the immediate jump to now it's staged, this is for a ballroom. No evidence, no investigation, no waiting for details. Just straight to a conclusion that conveniently fits the narrative that they want to believe in already. Color me shocked, right? And that's the problem, because it's not about the truth for them. It's about protecting that narrative above anything else. And so those are my thoughts in the update. Now let me hear from you. Drop your comments down below. I appreciate when you guys chime in. Subscribe to the channel for more. Smash that thumbs up. And as always, until next time.